act as the next Nazi Fourth Reich. So then everyone can hate and blame America. A new government, a global government can be founded on this proposition.
Patriot Act 3.
Global, I mean, yes, Global Patriot Act, exactly.
But they've got to make it look so that it's, look what happens if you allow human beings to be free. They get to the state of degradation that America has lapsed into, and they drop nuclear bombs on people.
Well, and then meanwhile, you've got the religious context to it, which is all the Christians running around talking about how bad the Muslims are and how bad the president is and how bad everything is. And if we would all just go back to God, everything would get, better. But they don't realize that they're right and wrong at the same time, because if you go back to God, the God of the Old Testament, the God that they worship, things aren't going to get better. You're going to have another.
Going back to God, they're going back to Pope Ratzinger.
Yeah, they want to go. No, they want to go
back to the Nazi youth
or Inquisition or something like that.
Oh, here's a real interesting question.
What these people should ask themselves as well when they're running around hating all these people is, what would Jesus do if they're calling themselves Christians? What would Jesus do?
Jesus was about love and light and compassion and forgiveness and selflessness, not holier than thou Bible thumping and
it wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about going around and killing people. It was about love. So a lot of Christians simply aren't Christians. A lot of they're pseudo Christians, but really they're just following a doctrine. They're not following the teachings of Christ.
Here's a really interesting question that I didn't even know. Freeman, what is your opinion on the Federal Reserve's contract with the U.S. ending on 12/21/2012?
I didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that either. I have to check that out, but I thought maybe Freeman knew.
Yeah, actually, somebody has been hitting me with that quite a bit in my email, and due to all the business, all the things that I do, I haven't been able to get deep into that. I want to get into all of those to looking into, but what I do is I allow those that are more influenced by that understanding and to give that. So what I guess I'm saying eloquently is I don't know. But it has come across my awareness.
Okay, all right. I need to research that because that's really interesting if that's the case.
There's a lot of agendas coming to conclusion on 2012. There's the Codex Alimentarius, Agenda 21. There's many that are all dated to come into act in 2012.
Well,
so it's like this whole puzzle ready to.
I asked it at the beginning of the broadcast, but I don't think I got the answer I was expecting. But if David Wilcock is correct, then the Egyptian prophecies also have 2012 as the end of one era of humanity and the beginning of another. But what about Sumer?
I'm not aware of any 2012 prophecies out of Sumer.
Oh, okay.
I know the Egyptian timeline does finish in 2012. It's interesting that a lot of timelines do.
Egyptian, the Mayan, the Hopi, all kinds of.
I don't think it signifies the end of the world, though. I don't think it signifies the end of the world.
No. What I said was an end of one era of humanity and the beginning of another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really important to point out nowadays.
Let's be clear, though, on this whole 2012 thing, because you'll see in my Return of the Nephilim that the date was December 23rd, 2011, back when they were publicizing this in around 97 or even earlier. I just want to be clear that that whole idea of the Egyptian, if you want to say religion, it's not. What we're saying is that a mathematician has looked into the lengths and creation of the pyramid itself and its inner workings and attached to it a significance in the numbers of inches that were inside of these tunnels. So we can't say that the Egyptians themselves had a 2012 prophecy. What has happened is a modern day prophecy has been attached to this by a mathematical system that pans out. You can look at the years to the inch and say, yeah, okay, I can see where you can say this meant Jesus was born, but it's still interpretation. And the same with the I Ching. What we have is Timothy Leary adjusting a computer model to the I Ching and finding a time wave 0 on 2012. So therefore, we can't say the Chinese have a 2012 prophecy. Timothy Leary
That
has
wasn't Timothy Leary, actually. That was Terrence McKenna, yeah.
Well said.
So just to be clear, the 2012 thing is perhaps all mental, all put in. Even the Mayans don't know for sure. that their calendar ends on that date. It's mostly Jose Arguelles. And when I met the Calcuja Foundation, they were saying, can somebody shut that guy up? I hate to be so blunt, but they are frightened by the things that Jose Arguelles is promoting as Mayan belief systems.
What's your belief about the afterlife, Freeman? Is there something the elites know about that they hide from us about that? Because it seems like making people feel guilty about their quote-unquote sins and then forcing them to go through all these rituals just to not have to burn in a lake of fire for all eternity. You know, obviously there's something that we don't know about the afterlife, or it's not what we think it is. I don't know how to ask this question, but what do you think about it?
I'm thinking of Dr. Joe Marsala. He's died 4 times or 5 times, twice since I've known him. And he's out speaking on his near-death experiences when he then died and had a near-death experience again. So Dr. Joe Marsala, he's done many presentations. You can find him with Brave New Books. Has a very amazing idea of repeatlessness and how everything continues on. And he found a lot of bliss in the afterlife. So there is the focus on it that you can make it all negative, worry about what you're doing so that later when you die you're okay. Or you can live your life, realize that what you're carrying with you are your memories and your experiences, and that's what you have when you die. And so for me, I had an intuitive feeling that I transmitted myself here as a soul into my mom to live the life that I'm having right now, as we discussed at the beginning of the show. I've just always intuitively felt that. I had consciously decided to come here and lose my mind, lose my knowledge and all of that, and experience what's going on planet Earth and trying to help the situation. So for me, I just carry on again, and I'll be on into my next life or whatever, and the next experience along the way.
Excellent.
That's the way I see it.
We've got tons of people in the chat room asking questions. I'm going to try to get to all your questions, guys, but I don't think we're going to have time. We've got 11 minutes left. This question has been asked over and over again, but I'm not really sure what context it's coming from. All it says is, what about the kids getting kidnapped, and what about the movie Skyline? Any ideas?
I have no idea what he means.
No, I have no idea what he means either.
Here's another one. Do any of these families, I guess they're talking about the elite. Do any of these families talk about astral projection as part of their upbringing, interacting with other dimensional beings? Or do they just have rituals and evoke the spirit, so to speak? Freeman has said he has felt a connection to the Pleiades. Is there any reason for that other than information he has read on the solar system? Experiences, maybe? I guess that's 2 questions.
Okay, very quickly, yes. They all admit to it. Even Elvis was communicating with ascended masters. Every one of them, that's the question. That's why we're asking the questions about the channelings of these entities and how they keep control over millennia. Because we have them telling us that this is the case, and that's what's going on. So the second question, I did have an affinity with the star cluster Pleiades all my life when I saw it up in the sky, but I had no idea what it was. And eventually, of course, the title, The Seven Sisters and the Pleiades, came into my awareness, and I thought to myself, wow, I really feel like I'm from there. Then, in 1995, 96, started running into other Pleiadians, or people that believed they were from Pleiades, and was given all the knowledge that you could get from, like, Barbara Manciniak and Barbara Hand-Clough on the Pleiadian agendas and things. And I was like, wow, this really resonates with me. And then I was led to the Celestine prophecies, the ideas of synchronicity and the miraculous life. And I said, wow, this is my life. And all along, I got to George Green at the mall, and he says, you know, you look like a Pleiadian. And I'm asked to have a television show, and now I'm before you. I met a guy on the bus who did my numerology, and he thought I was a Pleiadian, and he's the reason I was at the George Green conference. So it's as if there's a Pleiadian front guiding me. I ran into a bunch of people at the park, and I told them that I was practicing the Celestine prophecy insights, which meant to go speak to anyone you felt intuitively connected to. And they said, oh, yeah, we're familiar with the insights, but we're more at the Pleiadian view. And they brought me the next book in the Pleiadian series, and then gave me a list of places to visit that were Pleiadian in origin. And it turned out that these were all the places that I visited in the Mayan ritual as I traveled around Guatemala and Mexico. ago. I saw the map just recently because I just found that notebook again and said, oh my God, I went to each of the places they told me to without even realizing it.
Wow. Interesting.
That's my life.
Okay, we have 2 more questions. I have 2 more questions.
I've got like 20, so
oh God,
we're not going to be able to get to them all.
Obama said they do not intend to renew the charter granted to them in 1913. I guess he's talking about the Federal Reserve by the U.S. Congress, and is set to expire on December 21st, 2012, which coincidentally is also the date of the Mayan calendar thing. What do you think about that?
I think we already asked that question.
Oh, did we? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
All right. When do you think Freeman, the New World Order, will be taken down?
Well, now, if you want to, let's go.
I agree.
I mean, all we got to do is change. There are ideas. They have a schedule, and so you can look at the 21st century capitals. Just throw this out real fast, and look at Astana, Kazakhstan. You look at here, Canberra in Australia, and you look at the Denver area in America, and you see the new city-states being formed in these extraterrestrial civilizations that they're crafting. When I see that, then you have Nazarbayev over there in Astana announcing that they have the world's unity religion there, and on top of that, the one world currency, AK metal. So we see them moving where they're going. We know where they're going. All we got to do is flip the script.
Absolutely. Max, question for you. Forgiveness and love is all good and well, but what do you do when they resort to violence towards you? Do you turn the other cheek and hope that you're going to a higher plane?
If I had to defend myself or defend my child, my family against an attacker, I would readily do so, but I wouldn't be doing it because I had animosity towards the attacker. I'd be doing so because of the love and empathy that I have for my child and family. Absolutely. If it comes to a situation where you are forced to defend yourself, do so, but be careful of what emotional state you're in when you're doing this act of defence. I mean, if I had to hurt another to protect my family, I would absolutely do so. But out of love for my family, I would be feeling great pity and empathy and sorrow for the person that I was forced to fight in such a confrontation.
Very good answer. I totally agree with that.
Me too.
And in the remainder of the broadcast, guys, can you tell us what y'all are working on? I guess, Max, you first.
Well, I've actually got Freeman over here. I just had Ben Stewart over here, the maker of Esoteric Agenda and Chromatica, and I'm actually working on a film. And we wanted to have Ben and Freeman and myself all sort of together in a film. We want to try to present a little bit of unity among the truth community as well. Ben Stewart and Freeman are 2 people that I found, like myself, who really don't think that humans are evil and do see ways out of the situation that we're in. And I found that a very positive thing. So that's basically what I'm devoting my time to at the moment, is just working on this film and including these guys, trying to make something that's going to appeal to the masses, and then probably make versions or later versions and later films using some of the same footage that might appeal to people who are already awake. But you've got to be very careful of always preaching to the converted. Well, I'd like to do something that's going to wake up Joe Public, which is an extremely difficult thing to do. You've also got to be very careful when you're making films for people who are awake, because so many people sit there and simply, they find out about all this stuff, about all these secret societies and all these things going on, and it's like watching a movie for them. They keep waiting for the next installment, waiting for somebody. Freeman's going to make a film, or Ben Stewart's going to make a film, or Max is going to make a film, and it's going to have all the answers I need to save my life. And as soon as he makes this film, everything's going to be healed. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work that way. You've got to be careful not to fall into that trap as a filmmaker. You've got to try to present people with information, but offer them ways that they can implement positive solutions into their lives. So that's what I'm trying to do with these films, and that's the direction I'm heading in at the moment.
Very nice. And where can people find your work?
They can go to my website, thecrowhouse.com. It's quite a well-known website. You can also find me on YouTube, AOD Scarecrow. All the links are there on the Crow House website, but just go to thecrowhouse.com. All the links are there. All the links to the YouTube channel. All of my films are there. My books there. All the radio shows are posted there. It's all there.
Excellent, excellent. And Freeman, what are you up to these days?
Well, I just had this miraculous event. I had, the custodian of the Banjali area Bundala, let me get my Australian right, you know, blessing me and this whole situation. So I see, well, what I'm here for is one, to do all of this with Max and to